I'm going to be introducing one of the pioneers of internet marketing who's been underground for the past 3 years developing money-making projects in a new, innovative way. You may have heard of him when he created Winning the Affiliate Game, a breakthrough book which turned into his multi-million-dollar agency and defined what many of us do today as marketers. Or you may have run across his Winning the Internet Game in 2000 to 2004, shared in front of thousands from London to a real class at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and creating an 8 million email list. You think you can sell something to 8 million people on an email list? 60 million visitors in a month and viral marketing programs that were legends on the internet. Now, for the first time in 3 years, he's back here at jvAlert to share the secrets of his latest project, Winning the New Media Game. He's going to show you how to merge the old internet of search affiliates, ads, and email with the new media, social, and mobile, and how it makes money every day through his core principle. We're talking 19,000 sales of a $97 product. Okay, I'm not good with math, but I think that's a pretty good number. 19,000 sales of a $97 product through social networking, and I'm not talking about posting endlessly on Twitter. It's all about how to turn friends into fans and customers. Let me present Declan Dunn. Welcome, Declan.
Thank you, Felicia. This is fun. It's been about 3 years since I've been on stage, and for those of you who know me, oh my God, this is so hard. No. What I've been looking at is a shift that started with the economy back in 2008 sort of crashing, and it's not like an apocalypse, but it's really changed the way our price points are, the way that we approach affiliate partners, and more importantly, I see a lot of people doing the same thing that used to work, and I don't see it working for them. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's working for you, here's what you do. Keep doing it. But many of the people that are teaching you learn to do it that way, but if they were starting today, that way would be insane. And then you've got people who are telling you basically to work like a slave and find people. And here's what I'm telling you. Hey, if any of that works for you, great. But Winning the New Media Game says, why push your pitch when you can discover how to turn friends into fans and customers? And here's what I mean. Remember we used to call them prospects? Eyeballs? Yeah, that's real friendly, huh? How many of you got eyeballs in the room? Raise your hands. How many feel like a prospect? And people go to me, well, Declan, they're not friends. Okay, gee, wow. It's your attitude in approaching them. Because the internet is now being used by everyone, and it's much more intimate. So if you went into, like last night when we did our little meeting, and you came in with a little sandwich board with a picture of your product, and you went, hey, everybody, buy my product, buy it now, hey, what are you doing? We'd all think you were a freak. Guess what most people are doing on Twitter, which is just the next step beyond email for people older than 30. I don't have opinions that share with what a lot of other people do. Take the approach of Bucky Fuller. There's no right and wrong, there's right and left. So I'm not coming like I'm right. In fact, that's crazy. What I want to tell you is open you up to a little bit of different perspective and also show you the way that this can actually turn into money. Because I'm not anti-Twitter. In fact, I like to use Twitter to network because that's where it is you're introducing yourself to people. And it's a fascinating way to get affiliate partnerships. That's the way it's worked for me, and that's what I'm going to show you in some of these presentations. I want to show you how to dramatically improve your results in 90 days or less. Biggest amazing thing I've seen across my private client base, I work by referral only, usually do it as a business development. I'm a new media publisher, which means I take authors, experts, and entrepreneurs. I take their product and build a model that's not only going to exist now, but it's going to continue to exist. I don't believe in quick shot, one hit, product launches only. I like product launches with a program that keeps continuing, okay? But even the product launch mentality, guys, you step outside the internet marketing circles, it's unfortunate, but many of them don't even know what you're talking about. So you go walking in a room saying, I'm going to do a product launch. Unfortunately, not everyone's bought Jeff Walker's product. You're all looking at me like, What I want you to do is use the same thing, but learn you've got to speak to them in something they understand. The product launch and the whole idea is wonderful, okay? But when you talk to somebody who hasn't heard of it, and we're a really little small market here. It's a big internet. And what I've been doing, why many of you haven't heard from me, because I don't sit in the same market. I'd rather go to smaller niche markets that have a much bigger capability, much lower competition. I've been marketing to women, and I've been marketing in China. Both great markets for me, and guess what we're doing? The same old internet stuff, but I don't use the same terms because they don't know what they mean, but I use the same methodology, all right? So what I've got in front of you is a questionnaire and a little gift. For all you guys that think you know it all, just throw it away. Go look in the mirror, no problem. For those of you who actually want to discover not only how to improve your business, but what you're really doing, because guys, let me tell you, having been in business a while, I like entrepreneurs who actually want to leave something greater than just a dollar sign. And every entrepreneur I ever met who's really loaded, money didn't fill the hole they needed filling. It's awesome if you have money, but that's not how I measure your success. I hope that's part of it. But what do you leave that customer? And why would they come back to you again and again? And how will you treat them specially? Most of us just keep spamming our lists. I'm going to show you a couple different processes. So open the ears. Don't expect that you think, I'm going to probably talk counter to some of the things you do. But back in 1998, when I did Winning the Affiliate Game, which was the first time we referred to super affiliates, nobody even knew what it was, okay? It used affiliate marketing, and they all told me I was crazy, and they all sat here like this, and then we all made money. Well, everybody else kept trying to copy what was working, which wasn't generating money. That book, I turned into $1 million agency by actually phoning 1,000 people and saying thank you. That turned into over 7 figures within 6 months. Everyone thought I was crazy for picking up the phone. Here's a little clue. Pick up the phone. You don't have to call 1,000 people, but when they buy from you, try doing something Americans stopped doing about 4 years ago, thanking people and appreciating that they've given you their money, even when you've slammed them down the throat. Try thanking them, because the real measure of a successful business is how many times they buy twice from you, not once. Just one person's piece of advice. I came out with Winning the Internet Game in 2002 to 2004. That little book didn't sell that much. It was more of a branding tool. It was a way that I actually used it to negotiate and do joint ventures, and went into Santa Barbara because I have a passion for teaching, and I taught people from outside the US, which led me to China, okay? And what I'm here from now is this is the first book, project, anything I've ever shared in over 5 years. It's coming out the end of October, and what I really want today is I got to tell you, I'm not into pitching. I'm not into slamming anything down. I'd like your help, because what I'm going to do is share a little bit about what I'm doing. And if you actually answer these questions as we go through them, I'll be happy to talk to you about them. Because these questions aren't like, how much is your traffic? What's your conversion? I hope you know that, and I hope you're asking yourself those questions. But let me ask you the first one. Your goal is to increase revenue from traditional internet tactics like search and email, okay? With new media marketing techniques. New media means social and mobile. And I'm going to show you how mobile is already affecting your business. And most of you, even in this room, brilliant people, don't even get it. Even though, how many of you check your email on your mobile phone? Raise hands. How many of your customers do? How many of them are not in front of a computer? I can tell you, in certain markets, a lot. And marketing through them in the old way was flopping. And I'll show you an example, and I've actually got a doc I give you with this as well. So what we're trying to do is take them out of these places that they're talking and connecting. Twitter is email to them. And then nothing wrong with it, but gently move them over here where you can pitch them. But when you pitch them here, it just seems a little odd. And prove me wrong, but I haven't seen a lot of people making money with it. If it does and the numbers are there, good. Don't listen to a word I'm saying. I market to women? No way. Do not do that in Twitter and Facebook. We need to move them from the discussion to a place where they're open to getting our messages, i.e. building our email lists, okay? And then performance marketing, affiliates. I review marketing copy pages and new media strategies. Guys, people focus on tactics. Like I'm using Google. I'm doing AdSense. That's a tactic. That's not a business. That's a tactic in a very good business. Do you understand what I'm saying? The difference between strategy and tactics? Most people go, well, I could try Google, I can try email, I can try this and Twitter and this. And you know what? Your energy's all over the place and the results don't come in. What are you trying to reach? And how can you just write a little one-pager and look at it every 3 months? This is where I've exponentially increased revenue in almost every company I've worked with. In the past 15 years, my specialty is building businesses from scratch to $1 to $10 million a year. We just did a count. I'm at 21 companies that I participated with that, many of them recently. So what I'm about to show you really works. But, answer the questions or don't, because you know it all, right? What is your weakest link in business? Question one. How many of you have any? Look at what I'm doing. I'm not asking you what you're good at. What are you missing? Write it down and think about it. Because if you write, I'm not very good at Google, you can learn that. But if you write, my virtual admin really stinks and I hate talking to her, that's a person problem. And 99% of business problems are focused on a system. And if it's personal, punt. I use that analogy because you see the big guy, number 73? I actually learned this from playing football back in the day and about 80 pounds heavier. We won 23 straight games. We did not lose. And we weren't that good. But we knew every time we went on the field that we would get together. My coach taught me something that's amazing. Like a team is only as good as its worst player, your business is only as good as the weakest person on your team or affiliates. Guys, I'm going to talk to you about your team. Because if you're a lone wolf, if you're doing it alone, and you're just sitting there and doing what most people I see doing who've never really run a business, they got their guy who's over in India, and they always tell me, I've got this guy in India. Well, how's it going for you? He's cheap. That's not an answer. I go to Mechanical Turk, mturk.com, to get my blog posts written. I only pay $1 to $5. What's the quality of the blog posts? I pay $1 to $5. I'm not kidding you. And by the way, if you're doing search stuff, you don't really have to entertain them with great copy. But if you want to build an email list, guys, you better get a good writer. And you don't have to spend the farm, but saying you spend $1 to $5 in my mentality says, you don't know what it's doing, do you? That's an illusion. And we have that illusion. Because just because I'm from India and I can do your program does not mean it can succeed. That's Ben Kingsley's Gandhi. Thank you, guys. You're really, you can laugh. It's okay. I don't believe in my mirror reflection. Do you? Lighten up, guys. Woo! What are you doing now to promote your business? That little picture of me, I was living in a tent, one of my first entrepreneurial ventures, one of my first cataclysms, and I love meeting entrepreneurs, so I said, have you had your thermonuclear accident yet? No? Call me when you do. Because no entrepreneur I've ever met worth their salt, you name me one entrepreneur who doesn't tell you when they got their butt kicked. That's the story they'll tell you, because that's the story that defined them. The worst thing that scares me is an entrepreneur has a success the first time out. Do you know how rare it is to repeat that success? And they're all sitting there on the expectation. I'm so glad you had a success the first time out. I really am. And I feel so bad for you, because the butt whooping that's coming down is called life. It gives and it takes. And the guys who actually build real businesses, hey, I've been in this 15 years. Do you know how many guys are around this room who were around there that long ago? Not many. A lot of people in this business fly in and fly out, because in the end, they built one big thing of money. And one thing about us entrepreneurs, we make a lot, we know how to spend a lot. Why would every internet guru say, look, I'm driving a Ferrari. Look at me. I'm in a mansion. Hey, I dig it. That's cool. That's something that really is important to you. But what's really funny is there's guys I really like Frank Kern, who I don't think really believes that. It's just a fun part of his life versus other people who define themselves by it, guys. So when I ask you what your weakest link in business is, I want you to really be honest, because when I talk to you, whatever, you want to pitch me on how good you are, that's okay. You want to improve your business, start being honest. And when you're successful is the best time to start reinventing your business. Point in fact, Steve Jobs creates the iPod, hugely successful. Do you know the iPod's going to be eliminated in a few years? Why? Because the iPhone's a better place to listen to audio. He invented his competition. So if you're really successful, start becoming your competition who's going to want to knock you down. That's normal, old school, good business advice. And guys, the internet on the bell curve is very mature. There's a lot of people playing the game. And if you don't have 10 competitors in your niche, it's either not a very good niche or not yet explored. And there's many niches that are not. Having been homeless, living in a tent, you see that little thing behind me is a house I built. I was sending research papers through a little company called AOL over a mobile phone that looked like a backpack. Entrepreneurs always find a way, and instead of looking for a home to rent, I built one. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not into the contracting business, but one of the coolest experiences I ever had was with nothing, finding something and having a friend look at me as I was whining and complaining and feeling bad about myself. He looks at me and goes, "Do you understand that just what happened to you is the best thing that ever happened to you in your life?" And of course, after being raised in New Jersey, after a couple of select swear words, I came back to him and he looked at me with all that anger. He goes, "It's there to teach you, man. Your choice. You can either let it define you or let you teach you." So what I'm asking you is, what are you doing now to promote your business? See, what I learned out there is I was actually also living with 15 wolves, hybrid wolves. Every morning at like 3 a.m., you'd be in the middle of this woods. So it wasn't too bad. I was living in a tent, but frankly, it was pretty cool. And all of a sudden, you hear this, one wolf, and they all started singing for 10 minutes. Wolves work in packs, okay? I'm not talking about, it's so funny. They're actually more like humans than any other animal. They collaborate, they work together. The alpha male, you don't want to be the alpha male. That's a lousy job. And guys, get this, some of the males don't even have sex. Look at them. They're like, thank God I didn't get a wolf, But what I learned from those guys is after 10 minutes, they would all stop on the same note and it would be quiet. Except one of the puppies would do it and they'd be like, ah, and they'd jump the thing. Everybody somehow was on the same page. Now, what does that mean to internet marketing? That's where I learned something I'm going to tell you about Spiritual Cinema Circle. Affiliate programs operate, just like we just did in the hot seat, on 5 to 10 people. Just like Melanie was saying that those groups of super affiliates really work together and it's hard to crack them. It is. And frankly, many of the times, it's like Greg was saying about approaching a big Fortune 500. It's very tough to reach them. You're going to have a longer sales cycle. And it's not that they won't pitch your product, but what you should really be thinking about is not just reaching them, but creating your own group. Because all of them only have a very small world. Do you realize how many billions of dollars is spent online? Don't get me wrong. I know and love a lot of the gurus, but the illusion that people have is like they're it on the internet. There's so many little markets you could take your knowledge to. That's what I'm doing rather than competing with them, because they do it better than I do. That's not where I succeed. You do what you're going to do. But don't just think of the person who succeeded and say, I'm going to do that. What I'm asking you is, what are you doing now? Are you doing search engines? Write it down. What are you really doing? You're all looking at me like, well, this is self-evident. If you follow the process, this is what I do to double people's sales. And the people who never answer the questions never get in my door because they don't want the answers. They want some quick, hot hype. Ask yourself the question, what are you doing it? Because I'm about to ask you a really good question, okay? Spiritual Cinema Circle, any of you heard of it? Okay? When I got to those guys, my agency was doing millions of dollars a year. I was doing lead generation for mortgage. Yes, I was one of the people filling the funnel, making a lot of money. But that wasn't satisfying to me. And when I left, I met this guy named Steven Simon. He comes at me with this $20 a month Netflix idea to send people cinema that matters, that really resonates with their heart. And I'm coming out like, I know it all. I'm like, Steven, here's the deal, man. You're talking spiritual. I mean, it's too limiting. That's religious. And he cracks up. He goes, yeah, no, we've gotten that feedback. And I said, and here I am doing, 10,000, 20,000 sales a month because we had a lot of money in capital. So you can start believing your own press clippings, okay? I laugh at myself here totally, guys, by the way. I was lost. That's why I left the job. It was a career, by the way. That's why I hate that word. It wasn't what I wanted to do, okay? But I still thought because I was so good, I knew it all. And Steven looks at me, and they'd been open 3 months with nothing but affiliate marketing and a few people, 3 people, okay? I actually knew his webmaster from way back in the day, from the Boulder seminars. They had 3,000 customers, 60 grand a month they were doing in 3 months, and their copy was horrible, and their conversion process would make most of you guys cringe. We actually doubled their sales. I mean, anybody in this room could have. It was just sad what they were doing to convert. But he had gotten 3,000 people. He went up to 30,000 and sold that company 2 years ago to Guyam for a little over, I believe, $7 million. And when I did an interview with him, we talked about meeting him. And just like I said, Steven, it was so ridiculous. I love people like you. I love people who prove me wrong. You guys all look. How many people go, you know what? When your customers love you, talk to the ones who don't love you. They'll teach you more. I used to call the people who returned my book, and they would tell me more honest feedback and gave me better product ideas than people are like, you're great, Declan. You're awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like that. But if you have the courage to listen to people who don't like you, and by the way, if no one does not like you, then you need to sell more. Statistically, 2 to 5% of the people should not like you. No one's perfect. I love people say, I've never gotten any returns. Then you haven't sold enough. Basic fact. So what are you doing to promote your business? These guys were going through affiliates, but what they weren't doing was really focusing on the conversion. Because what I'm going to ask you after you do this process is, number 3, why are you doing what you're doing? And here's the answers I get. This guru told me to do it. Not good enough. Okay, I'm not bashing gurus, by the way. I'm saying anybody gives you advice, you've got to put it into your own business, okay? Just doing what somebody tells you, that's called a job or career, okay? Being an entrepreneur means you take it in and then you put your own unique spin on it and have the courage to trust that. I saw someone else do it. That's okay, but what are you doing? Just copying what's been done 100 times? Hey, there's a good model to that, but is it making you money? And finally, I don't know. That's usually the question. Look at you guys. Have you guys even thought, or you just sort of like just keep zooming down the old path and really don't care? Because I see none of you writing it down. You all think I'm just, out there, don't you? It's too bad. Because if you had the courage to ask yourself these questions, at the end you'll see where the process takes you. What's your weakest link? What are you doing to promote yourself, and why? And the reason I'm asking you why are you doing it? And there should be one answer. The numbers show me it works. My partners are driving traffic. Real business people can always answer this. The people who can't, I've met them. They have success. It doesn't last. Because unless you can say, because I'm doing this, let me give you an example. A very, very smart woman I'm working with an amazing business, has spent the past year doing without even questioning what a guru told her. And it was all about blogging every day, and you got to get your page rank up, right? Because everyone, right? It's on Google. It's on Google, so you got to get your page rank up, and you got to get your links, and you got to blog every day, and then you got to Twitter every day, and you got to go to Facebook every single day, every minute of every day of the week. And I said, how much money are you making? No one asked her for a year. No one, even her. And I broke down the numbers. And as we say, I'm sort of like the general contractor coming in going, lady, you got termites and mice in the basement. And she's got this amazing heart and soul, and the copy is being sold like a biz-op with a big font that screams. And don't get me wrong, in the right market, okay? Guys, every market has the way it likes to see things and the way it likes to hear things and the way it likes to buy. That's all I'm saying. If that worked, I'd be fine. But when you see pathetic numbers and a loss of $35,000 by following the guru and not questioning, because it wasn't the guru's fault. I said, what are you doing? What do you think, this person's got magic fairy dust? You're not looking at the numbers. So the reason I'm asking you is, this is the question very few entrepreneurs I meet ever answer. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because I like the people who actually say, because I love it and I'm changing people's lives. Those are the people, look up Steve Jobs. Listen to Steve Jobs. He's not more successful because he's a genius. He really loves what he's doing. And that transcends to his customer. So to give you an example, remember I told you email to mobile, how mobile's affecting it? Let me show you. I asked him, why are you doing what you're doing? We set this up. This is my dental channel. It's a continuity program for the B2B market of dentists. We've already grown it within 6 months to get over 20% of the total dental market emails at no cost. We post to the blog, which sends out an email, because he can only work 1 day a week, okay? He's a real dentist, okay? He's got a real job, a real career. He's actually doing that. Blog posts go up. We pre-schedule them. Here's a radical breakthrough. We script our stuff out and schedule them ahead. We don't wake up every day because we can't. We're already 3 months ahead in our scheduling. We tie our blog posts into what we're about to promote down the road. We think ahead. It's rocking. But what he's doing is nobody was listening to his wonderful interviews. And we were sending them out an email. Goes out to friend feed, which sends it out to Twitter and Facebook, so we're out in all the social media. Not as I would prefer to do it, really being present, but at least we're getting out there. Here's the email we're sending out. And when I sent out 8 million emails a month, I had one woman who worked with me. We used to do 2 A/B tests a day, plus we would send out what worked the day before to the list. Okay, we did about 50 to 100 grand a month off that thing like clockwork. I don't like big lists anymore because I find the best effectiveness I'm getting are from smaller lists, i.e. people who actually segment. Stop being lazy. Segment your list. Those who've never bought with you, spam them till the cows come home, okay? They have no relationship with you, if that's what some of you do. Those who bought from you once get about 25 to 50% less pitches from other people. I hear all these people going, well, yeah, you send to my list and I'll send to yours. That's such a pathetic way to approach it today, and here's why. I have a rule. Anyone who can send out an email from me within a week doesn't have a great list. Because the people I know with great lists are scheduling ahead because they're in demand and they realize they shouldn't pitch everyone's product, because guess what? The numbers don't come in. And if they do, then keep doing it. I do know a select group of people who do, but you better bash your list. It's called being really aggressive. And some people try to build relationships, say, oh, you send to yours, I'll send to mine. They say, I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch mine. I've never heard a successful entrepreneur say that. The only people I hear say that have itchy backs. You know what's funny? You know a lot of you guys in this room are doing this, so I'm not trying to get in your face. I'm trying to say, why are you doing what you're doing? It's changed, guys. 2008 changed a lot. And it doesn't matter if you think different, if you act the same, okay? We ended up, by the way, at the bottom of the front page you have is a 16-page PDF document. I've linked it, which tells you the exact story of how we did this, plus a lot of advice on how to send really good email, which a lot of you might know, but my God, I've been amazed at how people don't know how to do really basics 101 email. This little magic word right here, click here to download. Nobody was listening to our interviews because, and I got to tell you, I'm laughing here because I thought they were all in front of computers, right? Isn't that our assumption? Because what do all of us do? We spend our lives in front of computers. Not real people. We're not real people. That's the really cool part, by the way. I like it. These dentists are all on Crackberries or iPhones or Palms. Not a one of them is they don't have time. All of their email was done through mobile phones. So nobody was listening because we had a link that went to a web page. Okay, guys, go on your iPhone or your Crackberry, click the link and see how good the experience is. It's not. Even on an iPhone, which is a cool interface, it's 320 by 240. Unless you're selling a $20 dye product, not much. That's why mobile phones, by the way, sell low-priced items, virtual currency, low-cost items under $20. Just go to China. They'll show you. Listen to the guy Nokia, who sells $2 to $3 subscriptions to 5 million people. That's how you make money on a mobile phone. But for us marketing to people, what we did, that magic word download. I'm telling you, download, they love, man, I tested this, the download word, they're like, yee-hoo, MP3s and PDFs, and we drive them to a phone for orders. And we don't have a phone center for this company, so we drive them to an 800 number with a specific sales pitch and a specific voicemail box. Because they're on the phone, and they never go on a computer, and it's really hard. How many of you actually go from your mobile phone to a computer, right? Maybe you do. I'm saying many of them, it's sort of like a separate world. So just be aware. A lot of this is impacting new me. When I saw the iPhone, it was the most exciting thing since I saw the Mac come out in the mid-'80s, okay? It's revolutionary. And it's starting in email. It's where they communicate. It's where they Twitter. So we can't always get them out of that environment, all right? Number 4 question. See, I just asked you, how are you promoting yourself? Why? And this is the question I love. What's your customer doing? Do you ever really look at your customer, how they buy, how they shop, what they're actually doing? Do you ever bother, or are you just too busy just trying to keep things going? This client who was losing money, she never even thought about it when I asked her. Any of you in the personal development sectors, selling self-help? Okay, that market is not a search engine game. Not all markets are search engine games. I can tell you, I worked with Conscious One from the start. I had to slap him from a year to stop doing the stupid search engine game. Think about it. You're looking for the meaning of life. Sum that up in 3 to 5 words. It's a game of Tony Robbins. It's a game of gurus. That's the only search that happens. And there's a lot of value. A lot of smart search guys could do very well in that. But the fact is, there's an assumption that everything runs through Google. What I'm challenging you on is, if that is your assumption, you're telling me that's all people do? I don't think so. I love Google. I think Google's great for a lot of things, but I've seen so many. I don't work on search. I work on partnerships, and I find out where else the customer's going, and I use social media to get people to connect and refer people over and take them out of the conversation and into the conversion. It's called two-step direct marketing. Any old school direct marketer will tell you, gentle, subtle, then get direct. Don't pitch them, move them over here, okay? So Gary Ryan Blair, goals guy, I asked him this. He's selling a $197 product called Personal Strategic Plan. How's that for a title? I'm looking at him going, you know, there's something missing here. I don't like the title of the product, and he actually did fairly well selling it, okay? But he wasn't satisfied, so when he comes to me, like many entrepreneurs who don't answer the questions I'm giving you, because I know none of you are, and that's cool. You all know this, right? You don't need to really explore what you're doing to double your revenue, do you? No problem. He didn't. But Gary also understands that when you learn to listen and stop letting your ego lead you, you're going to find something. So I said, Gary, how many people want to sell Personal Strategic Plan? It's not sexy, and to the point, in a very corporate market, it's a $197 product. It was a hard thing. You know, how many of those can we sell? I'm like, Gary, stop thinking of 10,000 people. I love this. I had one woman call me saying, I want you to sell 100,000 of my books and guarantee it. I said, give me the water you're drinking. No, but I mean, people want the result, and they don't even care how they get to it. They're just playing a lottery. We can't afford to do that anymore, guys. And if you're starting out now or trying to improve your business, I think everyone I'm seeing, email results are getting a little bit lower. All the lazy kind of approaches are not working. How do you improve it? We went to Gary's. We took the same book, created an autoresponder sequence along with a couple of audios that he had already recorded. So you bought a $97 product, and we turned it into a challenge. Because when people want to make money, it's after the turn of the year. This is actually something that succeeded in January, because I guarantee you, right after New Year's, people are two things. They're broke and they're overweight. You think I'm joking? You know how much money I've made in January? We used to look at the National Enquirer. You want to know what the masses are buying? Read the advertisers in National Enquirer every week. It'll just crack you up and really show you what people think, not what you think they think. So what's your customer doing? I went to Gary. He says, well, they don't want to buy the book because it's reading a book. So we put them into an event. Turn your marketing into an event, a challenge. This is great for social media. Get people excited. Let them do it for free and then put them into something paid. And back it with a continuity program, please. I love lead product to continuity is almost one of my, in many markets, the best way to do it because they don't have large dollars to spend. 2005 to 2008, people were taking out mortgages on their homes, and that's where they're spending $2,000 to $5,000 on packages. Those days aren't gone, but they're a heck of a lot lighter from everyone I'm talking to. And everyone I'm seeing, the $1,000 price point is a pretty big decision maker. And it's weird. It goes like 100 to 200, they're okay, because let's face it, $50 is a tank of gas. A lot of people are still living back in the 80s going, well, you know, sell that $20 book. $20 isn't even a qualifier. But once they get north of 200, there's like this no man's land to about $1,000. $500 products I've had a lot of trouble with. Again, not gospel truth, but it's like 1,000, and then we start going into a monthly payment. And I'm seeing more and more people respond to that. And they actually pay a lot. We get our people to commit so they know what they're doing. This doesn't work in a quick buck kind of thing, but watch your price points. And to Gary's point, he then used all the social media to introduce himself. He would interview people. Pick up the phone, you want to, instead of cold calling somebody and pitching them your JV, if you're doing audio like Frank and video like Frank's telling you, and by the way, if you're not, start. The ADD of new media is rampant, okay? Nobody reads anymore because there's so much content. And Lord knows we don't need another 20-page sales letter unless you've used audio and video to introduce us. Audio and video sells us to read because they do read, but you need to get them to read. Use Camtasia, use ScreenFlow, I think it is, Keynote. My God, there's so many tools where you can just put a picture up, change it every 10 seconds, and put your voice to it. Don't rely on the written word. As Steve Jobs says, Americans don't read books. I don't agree with him, but I can tell you one thing. In the ADD of new media we're all facing, you've got to use video up front. He ended up doing that, using a video sales pitch. it went rampant, and he managed to network to get to a private meeting of gurus, and that little group, that little pack of wolves that works together there that nobody could get, you got to meet him in person. He got the deal to run through them. It went through the roof. Okay? So what are the top models for you to compare, contrast, compete with? See what's really cool by now? If you'd really been honest and you knew what your weakest link was, you wouldn't go up to a guru with untested products and ask him to do a product launch. You'd better done a pre-product launch and get your numbers down. If you're to anyone successful, don't play the, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. The door will slam. You better have a pre-test that you got some real numbers with. They're players now, guys. They're not pitch fests. They want to pitch, but they're picky. Smart people are picky. People don't want to hear everybody under the sun's product to pitch. I know some of your markets this doesn't work, but for most of them, it does. Look at your statistics, all right? So what are the top models? One, you got to get your conversion. This is actually a client of mine. Look at this sales letter. Does that really grab you? Is there any personality there? Right? It's sort of like, you know what this says to me? Do you realize that when I study how the human brain processes something, I'm much more a behavioral psychologist than a marketer, and I think you should, if you watch behavior, it never lies. If you try to make this up like you're a distant marketer, you're in the middle of the swimming pool with them, guys. We're no longer screaming at them through direct mail, hitting them through a magazine or TV where we boast up the volume to scream at you, what, there's more?
And if that lasts longer than 4 hours, please see a doctor.
That is a great clothesline. How to become a successful coach in less than, I stole that from Brad Fallon, by the way, but that's okay. How to become a successful coach in less than 6 months is about as boring. And look at that. Look at that little word, guaranteed. It's sort of like, here's what people read this stuff in their heads, guys. Read it out loud. Get 3 to 5 friends to read your bad copy. How to become a successful coach, guaranteed. Seriously, it's really good. I have no confidence whatsoever. Look at the word. No, but you know what he's saying? I mean, look at what a way to de-emphasize the word. This sales letter has never changed in 4 years. We would use video much more now to do an introduction at the top, but it's a little bit simpler. Accelerate your success as a coach by taking these proven steps from landing your first client to expanding into a full practice with multiple sources of income. You notice something? That's not a, we're going to do it and you're going to blow them out, because coaches don't talk that way in their head. They're into relationships. So a lot of you guys will go, I would have made this more aggressive. You would have killed that market. Now you can apply the same methodology, but all I'm telling you is you got to talk in the voice that they like to be talked to. A lot of us are talking at people and we think we're like bombers flying at 30,000 feet. And just let me ask you, if the sales are working, disregard this. But I know a lot of you, this is where everyone is like so thinking different and acting the same. Well, this is just a temporary thing. Those days of 2005, 2008 will come back. Guys, they won't. Our landlord China will make sure of that. We're trillions of dollars down, guys. Can I give you a little American ego? Can we just hey, I love this country, okay? But we went to China, and one of my fellow speakers was like, hey guys, well, you know Bill Gates, the richest man in the world? And the entire audience, who respects the teacher more than any other culture I've seen, had the biggest gut laugh I've ever heard. Because the really rich Chinese guy doesn't put himself on the front cover of Forbes. You don't know who he is. We're in a global marketplace. I'm just saying. That's why do you think I went to China? I like those guys. And they got 1 billion people, of which 300 million live in the cities. That's as much as our entire population. I'm a numbers guy. I'm not insane. Well, I am insane, but that's okay. Insanity is doing the same thing repetitively. Are you insane? Because a lot of us are talking about change and shift, and we keep doing the same thing. That's actually the real definition of insanity. Offline to online marketing. This guy was amazing. He's a diet guy. How many of you, any guys do diet products? Diet products are highly, highly competitive. It's a really, and if you're in Google, you got to be really, really good. I mean, it's a multi-million-dollar market, but it's when I measure a market, I'm like, listen, can I compete with the 800-pound gorilla? And if not, can I do something else that'll get me a niche market? I'm a big fan of niches. I create little projects that generate passive revenue for me after I work like a slave for 3 to 6 months to get the systems up and running and get people to look at it every 3 months and not just pretend. All these people tell me they're not working hard. They work harder than I do. And they think thinking ahead is working hard. No, making it up every time when you wake up, that's working hard. Blend it a little bit. So this guy couldn't get anywhere on the net. No affiliates would market him. He was having a tough time. He ended up going to niche magazines, using social media to get interviewed. Because who's online? All the journalists, okay? And they don't want to hear your pitch. If you do start pitching, they don't even want to talk to you because a journalist wants a story. Well, he went to women's magazines who interviewed him, led to the page, sold the living heck out of the lead product book, and over 30% of the women, after buying the book, we put the upsell right on the thank you page, 30% conversion to the continuity program. No affiliate commission. Nobody else was even thinking that way. Because, by the way, did you see the latest study about what they trust? And do you realize that trust is the new currency? What customers trust? What do you think they trust more than anything in media right now? Take a guess. No, not specific people. What type of media? Video is a tactic, Frank. Video is not a media. Video works on TV. Video works on internet. They don't trust internet video. They trust TV. No, they don't trust social media at all. 2%. Real people don't know what Twitter is. And I'll tell you something. Real people don't Twitter. We do. We're not real. Love that. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. You have to understand, though, if you want to reach those people, they don't trust. They trust their friends. They do not trust online friends because online friends are fake friends because they haven't met them. That's normal. They don't trust Twitter because it's weird to them. I'm talking to masses. God knows why they trust TV, okay? Because it's been around, all right? And I've been working with people using their video shows, like Frank's saying. We do video shows, and we use them. We just got somebody onto, I think it's Home and Garden TV. We're getting people to get contracts because that's what their objective is to actually get on and get some real money. I'm not suggesting you all look at TV, but be aware they trust TV. Why do you think, as Frank says, video rocks? It's the closest thing we have to TV. So if you're not and you're just sitting there with their words, they definitely don't trust you. If you think your social media is opening them up, hey, I market to women. You've got to be Twittering and Facebooking, okay? And by the way, little side advice in my research, a lot of the personal development people and career people actually use Craigslist in high-income geographic areas like Los Angeles. I'm amazed the traffic they get and sales they get from posting on Craigslist, like in Los Angeles, Austin, Texas, Manhattan. Any old direct marketers remember the 2% highest income zip codes? There's San Francisco, Seattle. San Francisco, go for the gay market. Seattle, I live there. It's cool, okay? We're not under the illusion. The rest of the country is. I remember one of my friends came out and says, what does a gay person look like? I'm like, I love San Francisco. Atlanta, right. Florida's sort of weird. Florida's really wired, but the cities aren't as dominant because it's actually really spread out. There's good incomes there. But look, honestly, it's really weird. I was checking out on Compete, checking out traffic statistics. Craigslist was like at 3 to 5% of a lot of the top people. This is something so under the radar. It makes sense though, right? Dating services, hello. Craigslist replaced the newspapers. Craigslist and Google is what eliminated print media. So this guy, remember, what am I learning from here? Forget the myth of traffic. Go for quality traffic, okay? And here's what I mean. Everybody talks about getting traffic. That was the old days. I did 60 million visitors. I laundered traffic from MP3 sites. We arbitraged and bought them, and you better have a lot of money to do that now. I got a buddy doing that. I don't think any of you can unless you got 6 figures to spend a month, okay? It's a big, big business. But what's interesting is I took a look, because I'm working in personal development. I looked at zenhabits.net and Steve Pavlina, which are the 2 top bloggers as far as I know. By the way, I'm sure there's many others. It's a big universe. These guys are working like slaves every day to get 267,000, 202,000 visitors a month. These are Compete numbers, so take it with a grain of salt. They're probably bigger. But still, I don't get in my gut the impression that these guys are running 7-figure businesses, and I really hope they do.
He has 2.5 million visitors. He's a friend of mine. He has 2.5 million visitors per month now. He's making about $65,000 a month from his blog. He does 4 affiliate promotions a year. That's it. That's all he does.
Beautiful. See? No, but he really gets the relationship end of it. And actually, that's good, because I know in the early days, thank you, because I'm not trying to put these guys down. What I want you to do is look at the revenue, okay? Because Pavlina is the king in this space, and so few people know him. And he's really one of the personal development guys. You better be a relationship and really deliver a good service. I don't know him at all. I'm just saying from when you read his content, which, by the way, If you want to pitch in the blogosphere, read their content. Stop faking them. Read Chris Brogan, read these guys. Don't just send us your pitch. You're just a loser. And by the way, even Jeff Walker said that Copy Blogger was a major part of his product launch. So there's good marketers out there, but they don't act the way that all of us learned 3 or 4 years ago. They really do care. I'm just saying, lighten up a bit. That's good to know. I don't know what ZenHabits.net does, but I know he's got a lot of traffic. And by the way, compete numbers are really, really low, okay? So let's assume this is a low estimate. This was August. Yeah, actually, great point. They're doing their own products because if they marketed other people's products, it would be tricky. I don't know them, but I imagine it would go against their reputation. And what's funny is they're really smart because rather than giving that really hard-earned traffic away to all you guys to pitch somebody's affiliate deal, they'd rather be picky and pitch their own, which all of us know is good business. The reason I brought up these two, and thank you, see these two people with like 10,000? These are definitely 7-figure businesses. Allie Brown, right? I mentored Allie back in 2004. She was going on stage, and I said, "What's your clothes?" She goes, "Oh, I'm wearing this really nice black dress." She's so come a long way. We both really had a laugh about that because it was her first time. She was getting her feet wet. Kudos for her. But I see a lot of these guys, they don't blog. She's actually starting to blog more. But they really built relationships and did the really high-level joint ventures. A lot of hers came from, different joint ventures. Coach Training Alliance has been one of my clients. You guys probably never heard him because he's in the coaching market. He doesn't know any of you guys because you guys probably wouldn't be a good affiliate for him. Plain and simple. But low traffic. What I'm saying is lots of traffic doesn't equate to sales, and that's really cool for those two guys because those two guys, the reason people follow them is that they actually put out a message people want to hear. That's what new media is about. I met a guy who has a list on his blog of 800 people, and all of you probably would, getting it, "Oh, how big's your list?" I don't talk about how big's your list, how good's your list, and do you segment it? He sold to these guys after, by the way, earning their trust, okay? He sent out a marketing pitch. He sold something like 200, 250, $97 a month things within 2 months. That's like 25 to 30% conversion on an 800-person list. By the way, lists under 1,000 tend to get delivered a lot better than lists bigger than 50,000. So even you guys with 50 or 100,000, break those puppies down. My guys do millions a day. And they actually do this little round robin where the email gets sent out like every second through a round robin a computer, so it looks like one email is being sent out every like 10 seconds. You don't have that skill. If you do, cool. But it's really a rocket science skill. So get your list a little bit smaller. Prospects are friends. People who bought once are better friends. People who bought twice or more from you should never hear from another person. And actually to the point I'm learning, and thank you, by the way, with Steve Pavlina, he's already doing what I'm telling you. And he's living in the new media. A lot of us are living in the old media. And those guys aren't going to take your deal, and they're going to be picky. You see, I didn't know this, by the way. We've never met, right? I have no idea. I'm just showing you traffic because I felt bad for the guy. Now I feel good. I did because I met a lot of these guys who just blog like crazy, and they're basically authors with little income.
He took Google AdWords off of his site because it was only making him $150,000 a year if he wanted higher revenue.
No, but just go back. I call it RPM. How much revenue do you make per thousand? 150,000 is 10,000 or so. Let's say, I'm making this up, but let's say you got 1 million page views. 10 CPM is $10,000. And man, I got to tell you, if you're selling ads or doing Google AdSense, you got to do a lot better than 10,000 for 1 million people, right? Do your own product. Forget Google AdSense. Forget advertisers. I'm just saying, because all these guys who blog do AdSense, and I know what the CPMs are. They stink. And I bet some of you guys are sitting there going, yeah, I do 5 or 10, then good for you. I'm talking Joe Schmo average guy is getting killed because they think it's easy. I'm not against Google. Again, what am I saying? Look at the numbers. What this guy just did, he looked at the numbers. So list what you'd like to do next, what we do in the next 3 months. The 6 questions I have for there, they don't ask you about your conversion. They really ask you about the important questions. And I notice you're all like, yeah, whatever. There's a new game in town. It's called the new media game. See this quote? The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. That's the mantra in social media. They don't want to hear your pitch. They're not against buying a product if you develop trust. They're not against buying your product or service if you develop rapport, if you actually respond to them. But if you're going back to the old school thing, which a lot of us are, man, I know so many people in this room, and if it was successful and you're doing it right, there's nothing wrong about changing that. But the smart people take 10% of your traffic and start figuring out something new. That's testing mentality. Never rest on your laurels. Take 10% and find out what you can do different. Because there's a whole breed of people coming up. Email lists, opt-ins are down, deliverability's down. Why? Because most people don't realize they're on mobile. Also because we don't show graphics. Even though I love still sending out HTML, by the way. Definitely. I get so much higher response in my list to HTML, and I send both that and text. I mean, it's up to the user. I don't try to tell them what to do. But guys, have you understood something? What I'm saying, the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. That's the mindset of the customer. They're not even giving you money. It's how much time am I going to give you. That's the negotiation, time. You get them from social media, you get their time, then you move them over where they think about working with you, to your product, to your service. And really, blogs build email lists. RSS feeds are an absolute joke. People don't use them, except us in the room, right? Why? Because we're not real people. We're the guys who get it. You guys think I'm putting you down that way. I'm one of these people. Remember the great Hunter S. Thompson? His great quote was, when the going gets tough, the weird go pro. I want you to go pro. I'm serious. We think very differently, and what's happening? You will exponentially increase your sales if you stop thinking people are like you. And if they are, and that's all you're marketing to, forget everything I'm saying here. There are some markets where people are living in front of computers and twittering, because that's what they do 24/7, and they're loving it, by the way. I have nothing against that. Do what you love. But remember, what you're really exchanging is your time and your life, and that's what the customer thinks. And the customer, just like running TiVo, they're in control, guys, and they've gotten spammed by so many people. They know every little headline trick you've learned for 50 years. And everybody I'm learning is bringing it in a little bit more subtle. When I work on copy, how do we make it just intriguing to open the door? Then we got them in. The hard part is your subject line, your headline, getting them to open the door, okay? So I gave you that little questionnaire. If you want to talk about it, that's fine. If you don't, that's cool. You want to disregard it, no problem. Because there's a lot of us who aren't. And there's a lot more people I'm meeting who are looking at me going, I'm generating money in the new way. Because a lot of the people who did it the old way, by the way, are still making money. Don't throw that away. But you better start shifting. For real. Don't talk it. Walk it. As a great quote says, don't predict the future, invent it. And what I like to do is feel free to give me a call if you ever want to talk, because that's sort of what I do with Ken. I have nothing to pitch you, nothing to sell you. I am coming out with my book at the end of October for a little test launch so I can get my numbers together. And I probably won't go out massive because I'm going to build a real community where people are like concerned not just about how much money they're making, but why they're making it, what they're doing with their customer, and what it's doing for their life. So you can see, I'm in a niche market. I like that niche. You're in a niche market. You like that niche. Make sure you respond to it and speak to it in the voice, because the new media game is, we're not in control anymore. They are. And that's really cool. Or you can just try to say, this will all pass. But I don't think it will, because it's not a fad. It's the internet. We've been dreaming about this for 15 years. And can I tell you something in closing? Back in 1994, I started a social network. You guys all think it's new? Go read the people who invented the internet. This is what it was all about. We just never had the bandwidth or technology. And nobody foresaw what like Twitter or Facebook was. That's like, you gotta have, like Thomas Jefferson said, every government should be overthrown every 20 years for the new generation to come tell us how to do it. That's what's happening on the internet. The whole generation came in with Facebook and stuff and said, you guys are nuts. Look at the head of Facebook. He's traveling around looking for the meaning of life. And you're looking at me like I'm crazy. Maybe you should be looking for that, because I saw him doing billions. Why? Because he cares about his customers. He really tries to care. And when I started that social network as part of my master's project, the audience is in control. They did all the contribution. I created what people would call crowdsourcing now. I let the crowd in control. We teach over 2 to 6 million kids a year how to live peacefully with other people worldwide. And according to Google Analytics, there's only 2 countries in this world in Central Africa that have not visited that site. And while it doesn't make me a ton of money, I can tell you something. At the end of the day, how many God bless yous do you get? And it's based on stories, and I learned how to integrate stories into selling, which is obviously a lot longer than I can go into now, because in the new media game, it's about telling your story, selling your story, and then getting them interested and into your world, all right? So I hope this has been at least helpful. By the way, my partner, Jody Colvard, my partner in business and life, has the Be a Show Host program, and I didn't tell Felicia this, I don't even know if she has them. I've given 15 copies that are going to be given out as freebie giveaways. So please feel free, seriously take them. This thing rocks. It's about audio primarily, because you know why somebody listens to your video? The tone of your voice, if they like the way you look and present, even just using Camtasia, and then you know what's less than 10% of their reason for liking it? Content. Work on your voice. It's half the game. So this is a gift I'm giving away whenever they do for giveaways. You're welcome to have it. In fact, if anyone wants this, I'll leave it up front. You got it. I really enjoyed our talk last night. And like I like to say, as you guys who know me know, my name's Declan, and I'm done. Thank you.